I want you to make sure you're following, subscribing, telling your friends and family about me. Put me on the TV. Let them see a Black scientist doing the darn thing because we are talking about EC, pH, and TDS and temperature, which is important when you are growing your fruits, your vegetables, and your houseplants. Man, I just gotta have something for the thumbnail at the top. Hey everybody, I'm Derek the Chocolate Botanist. I have this GroLine meter from Hanna Instruments. Now, when it comes to growing your plants and doing things with the pH, you have to be very mindful of giving your plants everything they need when it comes to pH, especially when you are doing a home grow of something that you're wanting to eat and live off of, or this is just like your money maker. So this is going to be a quick talk about this meter. I'm going to talk about pH and how that is important for your plants. EC, what that means. What does TDS mean? If you're watching in the future, I want you to subscribe, to like, to share, comment below. I'm going to start like these things I do where I give a lot of great information, gems, as the people would say on the clubhouse. If you're watching this somewhere in the future, hey, future person, it's good to see you. Where you been? What you been doing? What plants you growing? What plants you growing? I got this beautiful Hanna GroLine pH, EC, TDS temperature meter with multi-parameter probe in the mail from Hanna, and I am ever so excited. When it comes to getting these types of things for a typical home grower, a lot of us just won't look into this. We won't spend the money for it, but I tell you, it could be worthwhile because while I have been working in the industry of growing plants, Jesus, for 10 plus years now, because I did one company for 9 and I did another for 2 or 3. God, how old am I? I've been doing this for over 10 plus years in the industry and just for myself for longer. I'm going to open up this box. I'm going to talk about this product. I'm going to throw in some things on why this product is beautiful. So it came in this beautiful box. They shipped it to me in roughly under a week, I want to say. And it is beautiful. It has a lot of great information up here. I'm just going to read a quick bit of it off. You should always, when you get these meters, try to see what they are, read off what they are, and see how you could implement them or use them in your everyday life. So this has features like ergonomic, rugged, and waterproof design. Whoa! It is 3-in-1 amplified pro with pH, EC/TDS, which is total dissolved salt, and temperature sensors. Wow! Selectable EC to TDS conversion factor. Bingo, bongo! I have an idea for a commercial, and it's going to be like the old style Batman, where you would hit somebody and it just pops up. It's going to be dope. Adjustable auto off. You can save your batteries. Wow. Automatic temperature compensation. 1 point quick calibration solution. Calibration tags displayed on screen. Ability indicator for accurate data recording. And they tell you about the battery life and all this stuff and quick connect. So this is beautiful. It has a 2-year warranty, a 6-month probe warranty. And this is great. It tells you how it measures everything. So we see that piece down here, we have EC, which is measured in microsiemens, and then sent to Celsius or Fahrenheit for this baby. And they tell you the ranges on the back for measuring your pHs and everything before I get into opening this and putting it together. Your pH range from -2 to 16, pH, so very acidic to very basic. Accuracy is within 200ths of a pH, which is beautiful. You have automated calibration. EC range is from 0 to 6 microsiemens with accuracy of plus or minus 2%, which is beautiful. Dissolved salts in parts per million, 0 to 3,000, and 0 to, depending on the temperature, and to 3,990, or the conversion factor, I should say, not the temperature. And then the temperature from -5, which is ice, to 105 C and 23 degrees Fahrenheit to 221 Fahrenheit. So this is beautiful. The battery type life, they say 600 hours of continuous use. So you may use this for 10 minutes maximum at any given time. So this is a lot of hours of life. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up. So when you get these meters, and this is where I tell people about quality, when you get a meter, you should have a C of A or some type of quality certificate. This comes with a instrument quality certificate and a electrode quality certificate, meaning that this was made to be actually used to legitly measure stuff, right? I don't want to talk about people, but there is this water probe that a lot of you all will swear by to see if your plants are dry or wet. You don't calibrate it. You get it. You one. It has a green body, a little metal probe. You stick it in there. It says dry, just right, moist, or over wet. Do I still have that in here? I shouldn't talk about people, but so this is the probe I'm talking about. And I have nothing against these types of moisture meters, right? But they can only give you the very basic of materials. Where did I get this? Why do I have this? I didn't pay for it. I got it for free. It was at an event. I picked it up just to talk about it. But these things that a lot of you are like, I love these things. They're telling me what I need. It is dope for the basic gardener because it starts off with dry at a 1 all the way to 10 at like wet, and then moist is in the middle. But that's a very general concept of moist versus wet. What may be wet for my or moist for my philodendron, if we're looking at this scale here. So a moist is seen as, and I'm trying to get this to focus in right so y'all can see the numbers. A moist is seen as a 4 through a 6. So while a 6 may still be in the green for my philodendron, that may actually be too much for my aloe. It's very subjective how wet or dry your soil is and if your plants really need it or not, especially if you're constantly keeping your soil at this middle range. It can be too much for some of your little plant babies. So this is where I often will tell people like these things I guess are good if you get them, but learn what your plants need. But this again isn't calibrated. This isn't standardized. There's no way to say for my succulents, this is what works for what I need versus for my aeroids, for my tropical plants, because there's no way of calibrating this. But this baby came with a saying, hey, I have been calibrated by a quality inspector, Coleman Andrii, I guess I'm saying his name right, and Coleman Tudor. Both of the names are Coleman? Name, title. That's amazing. What's the chances of that? That's a very specific name. Anywho, and it was calibrated on the date, the 2011, the 27th of November last year, and the 25th of November last year. So I can make sure like, this is inspect. It tells me what it passed and what it failed, right? So I know this machine is going to give me what I want. And again, it is a pH meter. So I'm going to take it out. This is me taking it out of the box. The box it came in had all that stuff on top. We see it right here. Can we give it up for the box? And I'm going to keep this box because this will be where it lives, right? So I'm going to keep this box. It comes with the actual body of the meter. Ooh, made in Romania, apparently. Look at that. And this is going to be my beautiful body, again, GroLine by Hanna Instruments. They do a lot of pH and EC meters for aquariums and for agricultural use. This is something again that I'm going to be using in the agricultural sense. They gave me some batteries. Y'all see those? Those are AAAs in the back. And then they give me my kit calibration solution. So for pH and EC, 1 point, which is beautiful. For those of you who calibrated meters, we'll talk about it, but y'all know this is beautiful. And a cleaning solution, which is beautiful. And it starts you off with 2. This is dope. So I'm gonna get started. So we have a 1 point quick cal solution. For those of you who've ever calibrated a meter before, you know that typically you have to do multiple solutions for multiple points. So is it in range for this? Is it in range for that? But since this is 1 meter measuring 3 different points, it's able to use one solution, which is dope. So this is my 6.86. Did they only give us 1 point? My solution for agriculture. All right. And I'm used to actually doing, when we've done the Hanna Pro we used at Medicago, company I used to work at, we would do 2 points of solution for our pH, where we would do a 7 and a 4. So the 7 was above basic, and actually the 7 was neutral, and then the 4 was acidic, and those were our 2 points. And as long as it passed that, it will just be able to work and go from there. Let me see here. And they give you 3 of these, which is actually pretty generous. You would have to make sure you use this however often. I would most likely use this once a season when I'm doing this, because I'm just doing this at home. But especially for those of you who are growing, again, and growing for your small business and you're like, I need to make sure everything is on point, you would use one of these every single time you use this meter and then buy replacements, which you can buy on their website. Same with the cleaning solutions. You would have this cleaning solution to be able to clean your electrode between uses. Why is this important? Because this electrode, which is right here, is there we go. I thought there was a white buildup. It looks like there's a white buildup up here. We're gonna look at that. But this electrode is something that you're going to be sticking in various solutions. So you want to make sure that you are not cross-contaminating your own batches with a batch that had a fungal disease, an oomycete. That's all it takes is one. Bunch of oomycete populations that go into your solutions and F everything up. I've been there before. I don't want to be there again. Let's see. And I'm going to have to buy some deionized water. And typically I would just use regular water, but deionized is definitely something I would need so I don't get mineral buildup. So we're going to put this together. We're going to see if that comes with a manual somewhere. It doesn't. Let me see if there's any instructions on this box. I'm used to seeing a manual somewhere, and I just wanted to make sure because I wanted to show you all to hear the manual. I know there's a lot of stuff on the back of the box. Oh, it literally tells you on the back of the box. The box is a manual. Look at that. The baby is the grandmama. Look at that. So this is phenomenal. Quick calibration. Da da da. Let's put it together. So this end goes into this end right here. So I'm gonna stick it in me, baby. Now that I've done that, I'm gonna power it on. I can't power it on. Oh no, do I need a screwdriver? I need a screwdriver to open the back of this. I need a screwdriver. I think I just touched one. Thank God this gives you 6,000 hours of life. Because having to unscrew this every time would be the pits. But I guess because it's waterproof, it has to be something you can screw in to really fix these batteries in and not let in room for water. These have washers on them on the screws. I'm gonna show y'all this one. Almost dropped it. You see that? So these little washers on the back. So once this is in, there's no room for water to go in. Really, there we go. I was gonna say this is really up there. And they have like a little washer around it. They really want to make sure nobody gets in here. I put my batteries in. Oh, we hear a beep. This is it. It's on. Wait, and boom. It's reading the solution it's in, which is still in the solution. You want to make sure you keep up with these storage solutions as well. Now, this is not made for somebody with an attention span as short as mine. I'll put this back up. Ring. I make sure this white ring, this washer, is still around the edge. And then I'm going to put it back in. It slits in there just enough. And I am hoping, you need a degree to be able to do this. I am hoping to get this right. There's also a light bulb. Oh, that's not a light bulb. That's a spring. So I'm going to set this down. I'm going to put this first screw in. Because this is a lot of hand-eye coordination here. And we're screwing this pH meter back together. This is again from Hanna Instruments. It's waterproof, so you can read your EC, your P, and your TDS. So let's talk about pH is something that a lot of us are familiar with. You know what pH is, but what does it mean? Nobody knows what those two letters mean. There's a lot of people will tell you, but it's kind of been lost to time what pH was supposed to intend, right? What the actual letters P and H are supposed to mean. But what we know and have understood is that anything on the scale is from a 0 to a 16 is what they typically teach you in school. But pretty much anything below 7 on the number scale is acidic. Anything above 7 on the number scale is basic alkaline. So this pH meter will be able to tell me what the pH of a solution I'm using is. Typically for plants, your plants want to be at a pH of approximately 6 to 6.5 in most cases. Really 5.5 if some of them can work out. And why is that? They have evolved over time to live in these acidic solutions for the most part. Some of them want more basic, right? They want more basic soil, closer to a 7. Some of them may even want a little over 7, but for the most part, below 7 is what they want. The nutrients that they enjoy, the nutrients that they thrive in, that they are free in: boron, iron, copper, magnesium, nitrogen, phosphorus, all of the above have certain pHs that they are more freely accessible to the plants in their elemental or ionic form. Elemental meaning and ionic meaning basic, that the plants can absorb, because plants aren't just absorbing nitrogen, phosphorus just from a banana peel. And with a pH meter, you can be able to measure what is going on in your irrigation solution and with some testing, which we can talk about. I may do a test I used to do back in the day and show you all how I did it. We'll be able to measure the pH and then make adjustments if needed, if we want to, right? EC stands for electrical conductivity. When it comes to your EC of your solutions, it just depends on what stage the plant is in and what the plant is actually doing. EC, electrical conductivity, total dissolved salts are basically how much salt is in the solution, how much fertilizer salts or ionic salts are in your either soil, your media you're growing in, your hydroponic solution, or is in your fertigation solution, your fertilizer water. Whether you mix up a box of Blue Miracle water or you use Arbor, they are going to be measured or have a certain amount of pH or and EC and TDS that you're going to see. Total dissolved salts. I've not worked with total dissolved salts as much as I've worked with. This is really bothering me. There we go. This is a real show here. As much as I've not worked with total dissolved salts as much as EC, but I love them both. So what I'm going to do is this came out of the box. I'm going to give it an initial calibration, and we're going to go from there. I'm going to show y'all how to do that. Yeah. And this calibration solution, well, it came calibrated. Really, it's kind of like a standardization. But this calibration solution is like this. I'm going to rinse this off with distilled. I don't have distilled or water. Looks like I'm going to have to pause this and come back. I would hate to do that because I really should have. I wanted to open the box on live, but I should have looked and see what it needed. I don't want to go to the store though. I want to keep talking and then I'm going to leave and come back. So this is again their GroLine pH, EC, and TDS meter. It has everything that you could be looking for. And again, it's made in Romania. This baby right here, I'm going to go and get some distilled water. I hate going to Walmart, but I'm going to go there and get some, and then I'm going to come back. And then we're going to measure solutions, and I'm going to measure some of the fertilizer solutions I have within this house. I think I'm going to do what is that person? That Miracle Grow stuff. I'm going to measure the EC of that. I'm going to do some Arbor, and I'm going to just do city water, and then we're going to see what the pHs of those are. I will bid you farewell, and it is indeed a great value. Hey everybody, I'm Zach, and I went to the Walmart. It took me a lot longer to get back, and I got some stuff where I'm going to do some calibrations of this pH meter. Now I have 3 fertilizers in front of me. I have this beautiful concentrate from Arbor, right? Plant food. It is amazing work. I love it. I love it. It is beautiful work. It's a 3-2-1 NPK because it's a countdown to you having success with your plants. That's why that NPK is a 3-2-1. So when it comes to this, it's beautiful. It's organic. You can use it indoor or outdoor. I love this stuff. We also have this by We the Wild, the Grow Concentrate. And finally, that little blue miracle in a box, Miracle Grow all-purpose plant food. Most of you who are gardening, jumping into gardening, start off with this. I know this is what I started off with. I used to swear by this. And this and the Arbor are really a good price. So like this is a concentrate. This 32, this 16 ounces makes, I think you do 2 ounces a gallon. So this does 8 gallons. Did I do that math right? Because I believe the concentrations for all of these are the same. And it's a beautiful product started by a phenomenal woman who does great work. This is, oh my God, it doesn't tell me the concentrations. 2 tablespoons per gallon of water. And I believe a tablespoon is 2 ounces. So it's 4 ounces a gallon. So this is 4 gallons of stuff. The one thing I need to figure out is there is a little tab you keep in here to keep this from bumping at you because I end up getting stuff on my face and hands. I don't know how I always do it, but it's okay. So again, this is, I don't remember the price of this. You can get off my link in my bio and get a discount. But 6 is 4 gallons for your indoor plants, especially. You're not watering them that often, hopefully. So it's a good deal. This was $12, and this is a lot of fertilizer. And you can also make this last as well. So I typically, if I did get this, I try to use this only indoors. I said like I'm measuring pHs, but just throwing this out there. I typically only use this indoors. Why? Because it's a liquid, it's immediate. I use it outdoors, but I try to be very sparing with my liquids outdoors, especially because right now I'm on a patio, so I don't have to worry about a lot of runoff, a lot of water running off on from my plants into the environment. But I don't want that to happen. Whereas all of that fertilizer I put into my soil runs off, it jumps down into the water that is on the ground. It goes out into the waterways. It causes what's called an algal bloom or a red tide, where all the algae gets so excited from all the fertilizer they got, and then they eat up all the oxygen in the water, and then all the animals in that water perish. We don't want that if we can avoid it. So we're going to measure pHs today. Great. It's like I've never been a content creator before. So I had cups beside me. Again, I'm going to be measuring the pH of a couple of solutions after we calibrate this bad boy. In order for me to first calibrate this beautiful GroLine meter, and again, for those of you just tuning in, it's this GroLine meter. I am going to use this right here, which is a quick cal. This quick calibration is my 1 point solution for quick measuring and calibration of my meter to EC and pH. Now, why do I want to do that? Because I want to make sure it's accurate. But here's the thing, right? I don't necessarily have to do this a lot. Again, unless you're doing industrial use, you're growing a lot of plants, you need it all the time, or you're in a laboratory using these meters. And if you were, you wouldn't buy these meters yourself. If you're doing, well, if you're in a lab, you probably wouldn't. But industrially, you would do something different. So I'm going to pour this into my little cup here. And I have a little cup. I should have on some goggles because I am messing with chemicals. It's okay. We're going to go because if I get up one more time to grab something I should already grab, it's going to be different. So I'm going to pour this into here. Typically, when you work with chemicals, you want to have on somebody's gloves. And this was a lot less than I thought it was going to be. That makes sense. I'm going to get my pH probe, and this is something I used to do at work. This is how much liquid came in that pouch. We used a different pH meter that was made of glass. So I'm glad this is still sensitive, but not glass. So I'm going to take off my little cap. Ooh, come on. Come on. Slowly. And it looks like there's a glass tip in here. Y'all see that? I'm trying to get this in here. It's like a little glass tip, and this is all plastic. And what I'm going to do is cut this on. I cut it on. I'm waiting for it to say something. It's telling me it's reading. I think you hold it 3 seconds, and then it goes into cal mode. Quick cal. I put it in here, and I'm going to hold this like this. Use a rec. Is that wrong? We're going to escape out of this. Set up, pay off. Why is this not letting me calibrate? And there was a bunch of papers fell off at me, so I'm trying to make sure I didn't overlook instructions. I did. I'm gonna go through this instruction book real quick. And this is why I do this live, so you can see I'm just as silly as the rest of us. We're gonna go through this, preliminary inspection, general use, description, specifications, connecting the probe, turning on the meter, operation guide, wait. So we're gonna wait until the electrode is done. Entering calibration mode, holding the power until off tag is replaced by quick. Well, I did that. Intriguing. Storage solution, AC measurements. This is great. I should have read this earlier before I got up here, but again, I wanted to open the box up. Remove storage solution buffer samples, shake off any samples, plastic beakers. Let's go back to this. Enter calibration mode. Quick, tag if the calibration is set up. If quick calibration is set up from the setup menu. End up settling mode. There we go. This is quick. There we go. Let's try this again. 1, 2, 3. Quick. We're going to hold this in here. And hopefully it doesn't say wrong this time. It's almost like I've never used these before. This is different than the one I used. So basically when we're calibrating or standardizing our meter, we're basically saying, I want you to be reading right. This is what you got to use to order to know what things are. This is your reference. I don't know what sweet potato pies tasted like if I've never had sweet potato pie. I don't know how to not look at the camera if I don't keep looking at myself and seeing that I'm looking all the way over to the side instead of looking at the camera. So it looks like it did it. It's 6.87, and it's reading this as a 4.3. And this auto cal, quick cal is It's a little low on the EC part. It's probably because I'm not holding the liquid all the way together, but it's actually getting it because it's saying 6.87 in the microsiemens, which is the second line, is a 4. Times like this, I should have had an assistant over here. And this is reading a 6.86, which you can see there. That line is kind of out of range here. 6.86. It's hard to get words to focus on the camera, but y'all see that. And then the 5 plus or minus 25 microsiemens, which I don't know why it's off on the EC, but it's also probably because it's not getting really into. I'm trying to get this probe, this plastic part with the slips, deep in that liquid. There we go. We got it. There we go. We are pretty much on the money. It's reading a 6.87 and a 5.81. So now that I've done that, I needed to take this calibration. It's still saying quick. This is great. I think we did it. So now that I've done that, I'm just going to pour this to the side because I have a little cup and I'm pouring everything in. This liquid you just can properly dispose of as you could. I would just put it on a napkin and throw it away. I think the proper disposal would be on the back of the thing here. Let's see. Oh, it doesn't say. So it looks like you just throw this in the regular trash. So that is dope. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rinse out this cup with my distilled water. I'm going to rinse off my probe. Why do I want to rinse off my probe? If I'm taking measurements, I want my probe to actually read not what this standard says, not what this calibration standard says, but what it's actually supposed to read. This feels like old times. So do a little bit of a rinsey rinse, a little bit of a rinsey rinse. And when I've done that, he says knocking over more stuff. We're now getting the pH of this water at approximately a 7. Y'all can read that. Is that reading backwards for y'all? I would have to watch this to see. But we're seeing approximately a 7.5. So it's a little basic on my water coming in from the city. This is good to know for when we're mixing up our fertilizer. We're going to do tests. We're going to do tests on our fertilizer, and we're going to mix together fertilizer together. I'm so happy because I've never done this type of thing before online. So I'm going to cut this off. I'm going to put this back. There was supposed to be a storage solution that came here because this is electrode cleaning solution. That doesn't say storage because it says when you're done what to do. So let's see, battery replacement. So I don't think they gave me any. This says quick cal. This doesn't say that. I don't think I got sent any of the, because this is cleaning, quick cal, cleaning. They didn't send me any storage solution. So I'm definitely going to have to hit up Hannah about that because I have cleaning solution, but I don't have storage solution. That's sad. So luckily enough, I'll hit them up and make sure that wasn't an error. But it says never to store in distilled water, and you're supposed to keep this moist. So this is going to be problematic because the liquid it came with is, and that's why it looked so dry when I got it. I want to hope for the best. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this to the side. We're setting it to the side where the probe isn't touching anything. I have this half-gallon mason jar, and I'm going to mix up fertilizer solutions. So for each of my fertilizer solutions, I'm going to be using this half-gallon jar. I'm going to be rinsing this out and pouring the water into my reservoir because I'm not going to waste this fertilizer water. I'm going to be reusing it for my own planty goodness. And we are going to do a quick reset. A quick reset so we can see me doing this movement and stuff. Move this over to in front of me. This is almost like the start of a show I want to do called Derek's Lab. That would be way more put together like a piece of leather. So, boop, we have this beautiful setup here. I'm going to move this because I'm going to use that as a tool for later. I'm knocking water all over myself. We're going to keep all of this in, and we are just going to go for what we know. So I have this half-gallon mason jar, boom. And we're going to start off with my favorite of the fertilizers presented in front of me, which is Arbor. Arbor is 2 tablespoons per quart, and a quart is 4 cups, which is going to be half of this right here. I'm going to fill this up halfway. Adding in my water first, and we're doing approximations here because this isn't going to be true scientific know-how right now. I'm going to get my tablespoon, which is right here. I'm going to give this a little rinse in my distilled water because I have used this for other fertilizers and give it a nice, good wipe. This is bringing back so many memories. And I'm going to do 2 tablespoons of this here. So we're going to count them. 1, 2. Give this a quick little rinse because we're going to rinse this in between. And basically, I just want to see what the pHs of all this is going to be. We can also look at the EC, which is electrical conductivity. That is, again, how much fertilizer salts are in the solution. The salty, the more concentrated, the more fertilizer you get, right? How concentrated is that? There is a such thing as too much of a concentration. I'm going to take my meter here. I'm going to cut it on. I'm going to point it to you all, and I'm going to stir my solution together. I'm going to stir my solution together, and it's going to be reading. Now, note, we started with like 7.5 pH, but now what is the pH? We're getting 7 point, or 3 rather, 0.78. Amazing, right? And the EC is at a 1.7. That's a 1.71 in microsiemens. For those of you who know total dissolved salts, is right there, a 850 parts per million. Let's switch back. So is this EC and pH? What does this mean to you? This is a baseline. When they tell you to mix fertilizers up, they tell you at a baseline that generally works for all plants. Do it more concentrated or less, but you have to be careful. You have to know what your plants can take. This 1.7, I would give to a lot of my plants, including my seedlings that I'm starting. But I generally even give them a lighter touch of this than I would. So I would typically water this down and give them a half strength amount of this, giving them a 0.8, 0.6, a 0.8, 1.7, 17, a 0.18, 0.9. Again, the pH is at a 0.3. So what does that mean for you, party people, using this? This means that when you put this into your soil, it's not going to immediately drag the whole soil down to a 3. Your soil is a buffer. Your soil has the ability to keep its pH to itself. It can protect itself to a certain extent. But we want to be able to say, hey, is this something that would be beneficial to my soil? Is this something that would work? Is this something that would help? Especially for those of you, that sentence didn't make sense. Let's start this over again. Would it drive your soil pH down? No, not really. Like it could, but it won't. Your soil, if it's alive and if it's something that is plants growing in, the pH is going to be around a 5 or so. It is a test we can do to test the actual pH and EC of our soils too. We can do that one day too. So this is what I got right now. I'm going to pour this out, cut this off. I'm going to set this to the side here, and we're going to go from there. This makes sense to me that it would be that pH because fertilizer typically drags your pH down. This is where when a lot of people are like, hey, I'm using baking soda and I'm getting everything alkaline. I'm like, no, you're not. You're just being silly. So for those of you tuning in, I am doing the measurements on some pHs. If you're here, tell me where you're watching from, what state, to what growing zone, what you're happy about growing. We're going to try this next fertilizer, which is Wild's Grow Concentrate. Haven't really used this a lot, so I don't really have much to say about it. This is 1/4 teaspoon a quart. Hopefully I got that pH right because I feel like it's 2 tablespoons for every gallon. But this is great. We're going to go ahead. So 1/4 teaspoon. What's it, teaspoons? Did I misread that? Where's the other one? I get teaspoons and tablespoons mixed up at my big age. I still get them mixed up. Let's see. Oh, this said table. I was right. There we go. So I'm going to get my magical things I just had in my hands. There we go. My short attention span sucks. And this says 1/4 teaspoon, which is this right here. I'm going to put some more water in here. And again, I'm rinsing out in between because when we're doing science, this is more than just, I do this thing and it works and I've seen it. It's science. It's actually doing testing and being actually nuanced. So we saw that this was reading at a 3 before. I'm going to give it a quick rinse. We should be seeing around a 7. This is reading really low. There's something up here. This is reading really low. So this is reading at a pH of 4, which doesn't make sense because this is water. Even though I just put water in here, maybe it's because, let me give this a quick shot here because I know this shouldn't be reading this low. That's a concentrate. So now I'm doing some science trying to figure this out. Hey, everybody watching, tell me what state you're watching from. I had a little trouble with this calibration. So now I'm a little worried that it's not calibrating right. We're going to keep going because I don't want to stop this and try to think. And I'm going to look at this and I may have to do this video over. So we're going to do 1/4 teaspoon of this We the Wild. I should have shook it first. We're going to put this to the side here. And there we go. And this is approximately 1/4 tablespoon. Put this in, rinse this tablespoon off. I'm going to give this a quick per quart. That's a very small amount. Why does it look this color? That's very odd. It's not really as dark as I thought it was. I feel like last time I used this was darker, but maybe it's not. Stir this around, and we're getting a pH of approximately 5, and we're not getting any EC in this, which means either Derek gave himself an okie doke and watered this down, which I don't think I did, or this doesn't have any nutrients. Oh, the pH meter is reading funny. Let's try this again. We're going to add a little bit more. We know we've now doubled this up. Now this isn't reading right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take this out. We're going to rinse this off. I'm going to do another calibration, and I'm going to have to talk to Hanna. This is a GroLine meter from Hanna. And I am going to open up another calibration packet, which I just opened up. I'm just going to shake this up a little bit, and I'm going to try to calibrate this again. So I'm going to open up this packet. I'm going to cut this on. I've rinsed it off. I'm going to set it in this liquid here. And it is indeed reading it just about right. We're back to Quick Cal. This Quick Cal is going to be reading and waiting and reading. And it should tell us when it's got the information because it's recording right now, telling us to wait. It's recording. Saved it, and it's reading as, that's a 5, right? So this is reading as a 6.87 and a 5, which makes sense because the standard is reading at that same amount. So I'm going to put this to the side because I opened up 2 of these today and I didn't plan on it. We're going to give this a quick little rinse to get off that standard. I'm going to put it back in here. It's not reading an EC, so that was right. I'm going to see if I can reach this other bottle. Maybe I watered one down, but I don't think I did. This was some dangerous work I'm doing, measuring the ECs and stuff to see if things actually are giving you something. Let me see. What is the NPK of this? It never says it on the bottle. Like 62 gallons. Let's see if this looks like the stuff I just had in my hands. So now we're keeping track. I did 2, I doubled it. Now I'm tripling it. And that looks about the same. I'm going to give this a quick stir. Again, I don't want to break the meter, so I'm just stirring in the center. I'm not touching glass. I don't want to touch glass on glass. This is not giving you anything. This is supposed to be a concentrate. Fast release plant food for vigorous growth. Intriguing. It's amazing what a meter can show you. I might be doing something wrong, but this isn't showing any NPK, like any salt. It's 0.01, which could just be what the salt level of the water is, because you can have calcium salts in your city water. If you're doing this with city water instead of deionized or distilled water, your deionized water will just give you perfect zeros, a perfect 7 and a perfect 0. But distilled water will still have some amount of salt in it potentially, and it's thinking, so it's not like settled on this number yet because it still has the hourglass in the corner flashing, and now it's going 6.02. Very interesting. We're going to move on. We're going to move on and being very careful with this meter I just got. I'm going to rinse this out, and again, I'm pouring this fertilizer to the side. This is going to go in like a garbage can fertilizer that I mix up for my plants in here. I'm going to give this a quick rinsey rinse in this cup, and in that rinse, the pH is dropping and raising back up. I'm actually just going to set it in this water because it's not supposed to dry out. And I'm going to fill this back up to a quart, and we're going to make a quart of Miracle Grow. So the first pH we saw of the arbor was roughly, I think, a 3.8, and it had a decent EC, electrical conductivity, amount of salt. Now we're seeing this stuff. This is, we're going to do indoor plants. I think you can do a half a teaspoon per gallon of water. And for, wait a minute, did I say per gallon? Did I say per quart? And then outdoor, you can do a tablespoon and a half per gallon. So a gallon is 4 quarts, right? 4 quarts make a gallon. So instead of doing a tablespoon and a half, we will do, instead of 5/4, it'll be around 1/4 of a tablespoon. There we go. I'm glad I can do math. So we got this here. I miss when they used to have this just a big bag, but that big bag did used to be hard to break into if it's not real wet. Let me see. I need my 1/4 of a tablespoon. I don't have a 1/4 of a tablespoon up here. I feel like there are 2 tablespoons, 2 teaspoons and a tablespoon. So 1 teaspoon is half a tablespoon. This is me doing math on the fly. 1 teaspoon is half a tablespoon. A half a teaspoon is a 1/4. So we're going to do a half of a teaspoon if I'm getting this math right. And again, this is Miracle Grow. Most of us started off of this. I started off using this stuff way back in the day. I don't really use it much anymore. There's nothing wrong with it. I use other stuff. And if I use this versus the organic variety, that's the slow release or the liquid, because the organic, oh, that stuff, it just doesn't dissolve. I don't know about for y'all. It just does not dissolve for me. So we're going to stir up the gift. And this is definitely, this is amazing how it's coming together. So we're seeing the pH is dropping. And again, for your soil, what does this mean? This means that this is about a 3. Your soil over time, if you're watering consistently, is going to be around a 5. Your soil may start off around a 7 or an 8, depending on what you're adding to it. And over time, it will get closer to a 6 and closer to a 3, but it'll never exactly reach 3. Why is that? Your soil's peat or core, whatever it's made of, all of that has a pH too. So we're getting an EC of, that's saying 5? 2. I can't read backwards. We're going to wait for it to do. There we go, 3.7 and 2. So this is actually comparable to what we got from Arbor, because Arbor was like a 1.7. So amazing work. Now, what does this mean? Why do I need a meter like this? Why do I need something of this magnitude? Why do I need to keep something like this around me? Again, for those of us who are just growing our plants and you're just happy just to grow, maybe you don't need one of these. But boop, there we go. If you are a person who is like, I want my plants to look as perfect as possible, I want them to give me the best possible results that I can get, then a GroLine meter can be something that you can get. Now, for some hobbyists, this may be a great thing to get if you're trying to grow very fancy plants that require the certain parameters of care. A meter like this will get you where you want to be. If you're doing tissue culture, right? A meter like this can get you where you want to be because I can measure pH and EC of my solutions all at once and temperature of my solution all at once, right? And it is a little pricey. I will give it that. It is a little pricey, but it is something that I know has a value and it has a place. So for those of you who grow certain herbaceous perennials and you're like, I'm trying to get these plants to look good and be a certain growth, and I'm really trying to pump my plants to get those buds, right? This thing can help you. For those of you who are growing plants for herbalism, this thing can help you. For those of you who are like, all my plants are alkaline, this thing will help you to know it's not. So keep that in mind. That's pH, that's EC, that's total dissolved salt. Now, what did we learn overall? This is a GroLine pH meter, EC meter, and total dissolved salts meter all in one. What do those things mean? pH is the acidity or the basicness, how much acid or alkaline is the solution that you're putting on your plants. For the most part, your plants want to be in an acidic situation, right? That's part one. Part two, fertilizer, what we saw, fertilizer can drop the pH of your irrigation solution. There's certain amendments that you can use, amendments like citric acid or potassium hydroxide that can help to balance your irrigation solution and help you get to whatever pH you're trying to grow for. Especially for those of you who are doing hydroponics or aquaponics, you want to have a very specifically dialed in solution, right? And lastly, electrical conductivity, EC, or total dissolved salts, TDS, is the measure of salt, salinity, how much fertilizer, how concentrated is your solution. I have a trash can solution here. This trash can solution has a lot of stuff in it. Should I measure it? Let's do it. Let me show you what it looks like. Because we measured 3 pHs, or ECs and pHs. pH of this was pretty, lackluster. Its EC was also the same. Miracle Grow does what it does. This is why a lot of people swear by it. And Arbor was phenomenal. Phenomenal work. So this that I have in front of me is a culmination of like Arbor and maybe a little bit of Miracle Grow I had laying around and some other stuff, some potassium, nitrogen I had, and some bat guano. I am going to measure the same volume, which is 4 cups or a quart of this liquid. This also has some like molasses and micronutrients and microbial inoculants and all types of stuff in this gunk. Okay, I'm gonna cut this on. We're gonna see what it says. And this has been sitting. I water it down, sit it back up, water it down, sit it back up. This is at a 4.82 approximately and a 3.42 EC. What does that mean? This is real concentrated, but I purposely make it that way because I water this down and give it to my plants. I'll do it at half strength or even a tenth strength sometimes because I'm always fertilizing my plants all year long. Now, for those of you who are like to fertilize, there we go. If that's you, then please keep a watch. Please keep a watch because this is going to be on Vimeo. I'm going to start putting a lot of this content on Vimeo and we're going to grow together. And maybe even the name of it, grow together. I don't know. I've had a beautiful day. I'm going to go and enjoy the rest of my day now because I feel good about myself. I don't know about y'all. Science and this type of jazz brings me a lot of joy, much like an Anita Baker song. And we'll keep going and growing.